the journey to influence. I really want you to understand the strength and the weight of this movie. The last 2.5 to 3 years, I went through a culture shock. I found that the things that I read in the Bible, the way that I thought was right to be done, and so many of my colleagues and even people in my church, we had it all wrong. We have been doing things that are not changing the world. Things that just keep us the same way over and over again. For so long we have replaced the kingdom culture with just religious traditions. It's time to change the world with your faith, to really inspire people to be responsible with gifts, responsible with family, responsible with marriage, responsible with arts and entertainment, business, entrepreneurship. There's a pulpit that has been hidden. It has been here for all along. It's called the world. Jesus said, go into the world and preach and reach and preach and reach. And so this is the journey to influence. Let's take this journey. Let's change the world. Let's influence. Let's get motivated. Influence. Welcome to my pulpit, the marketplace. Let's influence.
Yeah. It's promise. This how we do it, you see. Music, this how we do it, you see. Music, this how we do it, you see. Music, this how we do it, you see. Everybody on the east side, we lift them up. Everybody on the west side, we lift them up. Everybody on the north side, we lift them up. Everybody on the south side, we lift them up. Wherever you at, we're lifting up Jesus, Christians.
What is influence? It is making a difference. It's creating with responsibility. It's allowing the faith and the creative nature that God has placed in us to really influence people that are degraded, that are down, that are depressed, that have given up on their dreams and their hope, that have felt like there's no God. It is turning atheists to powerful evangelists. That's what influence is. It's sharing your faith. It's living your faith. It's wearing your faith. It's allowing the Holy Spirit to lead you, to guide you. That's what it means to influence. You have it in you. It's in you. It's in you. It's been placed in you before the foundations of the world. When God thought about you, He put in you the ability to believe, to conceive, to be revealed, to manufacture spirit equity. Let's influence. Let's make a difference. Everyone has a journey to purpose, but not everyone is on the journey or understand that it's necessary that they get on the journey now. And so we live in a world where there's so many people, they're literally knocked out. They're asleep, they're in a coma, and they're existing, but they're not living. And once you come into the consciousness that there is a journey to my purpose, that there are certain events, certain moments, certain minutes and seconds that have to take place, and even failures that must take place in order for me to get to the place of purpose, then you'll understand what peace is. You see, failure is the necessary ingredient for success. You're gonna fail more than succeed. But once you succeed, a lot of people forget about the failure. But it's the failure, the properly processing of my failure, of my disappointments, of my regrets, that produce the blocks that build my skyscraper called success. We're going to go into some of our influencers and our world changers, and they're going to share with you their journey to purpose. How do they become an influencer? How do they make this transition from just being in the world to being saved, to from working for a job to being the boss? There was a journey, and in that journey there's some trying times. Some were sick, some was rejected, some was even hurt, but they got to the place of purpose. And they are changing the world because they were not afraid to boldly, aggressively approach their purpose by getting on the journey. Today, you need to get on the journey. Let's check them out. Influence.
Who is Evan Spalding? Evan Spalding, I am a husband, I'm a preacher, I'm an entrepreneur. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, born and raised. My dad's a pastor, my mother's the co-pastor, so that's like a double whammy. I grew up it was pretty strict upbringing at first. No movies, you couldn't date, so, you know, I tried to sneak and stuff like that. My parents are pretty cautious, but I probably tried to, you know, do some things that I wasn't supposed to do because of the strictness. And the journey to becoming who you see today, the influence, Evan the show, the entrepreneurial husband, it was a long process. I remember starting my company, Jonte Ark Productions, when I was about 16, and so many other business. I was a travel agent and astronaut, and just a whole lot of different things to get to that point. My roughest time would have probably been, I guess you could say 2012. So many things were happening. Just everything was building up. I was told that I had stomach cancer. I lost my job after getting hired by a bigger company. I lost that job, and so many things happened during that time. And what pulled me out is a situation where I went into the hospital, and a man by the name of Bishop Stacy McQueen came into the room, and he told me that I had a purpose and God wasn't going to let me die until I fulfilled it. And at that moment, I just felt something in my body beginning to change. People might think this sounds crazy, but it just began to change, and I believe it was God healing my body. I got the reports back, and they said that they didn't see anything cancerous at all. Whatever it was, it completely disappeared. And from that moment on, I made a promise to God that in whatever I do, I'm going to take care of his business. And he made me the same promise and said, I'm going to take care of your business.
We have to influence. We have to be the people that set trends and set culture in the marketplace. That's what God has called us for. That's our purpose, that's our destiny, and that is our assignment as moguls in the marketplace.
The marketplace is where the consumer lives. And as an entrepreneur, it's your job to give them and provide them what they need for that house. I got to influence people. Hey, you need this to enhance your life. Your shirt, you need a plaque, you need those different things, and it'll enhance your life. A lot of religious people are still into the days of old and tradition, which was good at that time because they were up to date with that time. But nowadays, you have to keep the message updated with the package. It's a shame that people in the secular know that there's change that needs to go on in order to be effective. We look at big corporations like McDonald's and Nike, whoever else you buy from, they always update their package. It's never the same. Their message is never the same. Think about McDonald's. It used to be, I love to see you smile. Now it's ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. So, I mean, we have to take that same concept because you are selling Jesus. People say Jesus is not for sale. Salvation, if you want to get somebody to the realization of salvation and let them know that Jesus Christ is Lord, you have to sell them on that, because there's so many things going on in the world that hinders them from believing that Jesus Christ is Lord. You have to figure out something that's going to capture them and gravitate them and get them to come to the understanding that Jesus Christ is Lord. And that's how I came up with my Hope Dealer plaques, and that's how I give hope with Jonte Ark Productions. We give hope through our events, and we give hope through our apparel and different things, because we want them to be grasped, and not so much preaching on them, but maybe a comedy show will get them to come in the church and end up leaving saved. They might come for a shed. I've had gangsters come in here for Christ Shed. That's one of our most effective tools of outreach. Hundreds of people will load inside of Ark and Safety Faith Center for a Christ Shed.